Hey guys, this is God of Politics, and welcome back to a brand new video. But before we get started with this video, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. Also follow me on Twitter and join the Discord. Those are both linked down in the description. But in today's video, I will be doing my updated prediction for the 2022 Senate elections. Now, I don't want to do these too often, but there have been a lot of recent developments since I did my last prediction, which was over a month ago. So I'll be doing another prediction now for the 2022 Senate elections. And as we can see from the Wikipedia page, we now have 5 Republicans retiring. We have Roy Blunt of Missouri, Richard Shelby of Alabama, Richard Burr of North Carolina, Rob Portman of Ohio, and Pat Toomey of Pennsylvania. This now opens up a number of opportunities for Democrats, mainly in just Pennsylvania and North Carolina. You know, these other 3 states aren't going to be competitive, but those 2 states, it does open up an opportunity for Democrats. And you also have Ron Johnson in Wisconsin, who has indicated that he is leaning towards the side of retiring. So unlike 2010, where you had a lot of Republicans retiring in generally more safe states, in 2022, you've got a lot of Republicans retiring in, some of the most important states that they have to defend. The 3 most important, of course, being Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, North Carolina. Biden won both Wisconsin and Pennsylvania. Now you've got Republican incumbents retiring. So rather than saying, it's just incumbent on the Democrats to get a good candidate, it's now also incumbent on the Republicans to get a good candidate, because they no longer have that incumbency advantage, and they no longer have, a lot of the advantages that you would otherwise get. So I'm going to be doing my updated prediction based on that. So, of course, we will start off with the safe states for the Republican Party, states going by over 10 percentage points. That includes Idaho, North Dakota, South Dakota, Utah, Alaska, Iowa, Missouri, Arkansas, Louisiana, Alabama, Ohio, Indiana, Kentucky, South Carolina, as well as, that's actually going to be it. So that's 44 safe seats for, actually, of course, Kansas and Oklahoma. You could argue that Iowa and Ohio would both be in the likely column. I actually might move them to the likely column just for now, because, I think Chuck Grassley probably won't run, and, Ohio being an open seat might be slightly closer, so I'll put them at likely for now, but they're not going to be seats that are going to be competitive. And again, if Chuck Grassley runs for re-election, he'll win by a safe margin. Now, these safe seats for the Democratic Party include California, Oregon, Washington, Hawaii, the Georgia seat with John Ossoff. Of course, he's not running for re-election. Maryland, Connecticut, New York, Vermont, and Illinois. So that puts Democrats up to 45 seats, Republicans up to 46 seats. I'm actually probably going to add Florida to this list. I think Marco Rubio wins by around 10 to 11 percentage points at this point. He seems to be in quite good standing at this point, and he doesn't really seem to have much of a competitive opponent. Stephanie Murphy's going to run, but she's not going to win. So we're looking at a map with the safe states. Republicans are at 45, Democrats are also at 45. So pretty much on an even footing. The Senate is currently at 50-50, deadlocked except for the vice president for the Democratic Party. So we're already still deadlocked after the safe states. Now, getting into the likely states first. For the Republicans, I actually don't think there's any likely states, so we'll go right to the likely states for the Democrats, which includes Colorado. And I'm going to put Colorado in likely just because, being fair, I've put Iowa and Ohio in likely, and sure, Colorado is a safer state, but I am expecting it to be a year that does favor the Republican Party more. Michael Bennet was first elected in 2010 by around 2 percentage points, re-elected in 2016, running about even with Hillary Clinton. I think if Republicans can field a decent candidate, sure, it'll be like an 8-9 point race, but realistically, Michael Bennet will have no problem winning this race, and that's actually going to be all of the likely margin states. Only one, and that is Colorado. So now we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 races that are going to be under 5 percentage points according to this prediction, which of course is very subjective. You can disagree. Comment down below if you disagree. I encourage you to comment down what do you think. But getting to the lean states for the Republicans, first is going to be the state of North Carolina. You've got former Republican Representative Mark Walker running for this seat, and you've got Democratic state senator, Jeff Jackson running. Really, that's not going to bode well for the Democrats. Republicans already have a candidate that has a higher position, can do well in the suburbs, can do well in the rural areas with a Trump endorsement, with endorsements of other figures, and just having the trends in his favor, versus, a state senator going to have a lot of similar problems like Al Cunningham, appealing to urban areas as well as rural areas that are trending away from the party. So he's not got much of a chance to win. I'd be very, very surprised if he won. Sure, Democrats should still target the seat, but realistically, it's not a seat that's likely to go towards the Democratic Party. Now, that is all of the lean Republican states. Now, as for the lean Democrat states, Nevada, I am going to put it lean Democrat. There's been a lot of talk, Democrats elected Democratic Socialists as the leader of the party. Well, Bernie won the state in terms of the caucus. Biden won the state. Hillary won the state. All sorts of candidates can win the state, and Catherine Cortez Masto is not suddenly going to lose her seat because the state party is now run by people who are more to the left. I don't really subscribe to that idea because, Bernie did better with Latinos. It's not, Latinos are afraid of socialism. Sure, Trump capitalized on, the fear-mongering with Cubans in Florida, but that doesn't really work as well in the state of Nevada. Joe Biden just did have naturally a lot of problems with Latino voters, lack of outreach, that Bernie Sanders did make outreach, but Catherine Cortez Masto, I believe, does appeal more to Latino voters. She's going to not get the same numbers that Joe Biden got with white voters, but I don't think it's going to matter because Nevada's a pretty stubbornly blue state, around lean blue state, so I think Catherine Cortez Masto will win narrowly, but she'll win convincingly. Now, I'm also going to put Arizona at lean Democrat due to the lack of a good candidate that I think the the Republican Party has. There was a lot of speculation that Doug Ducey would run. Trump criticized him a lot. Doug Ducey then came out and said he wasn't going to run. The state Senate, is very iffy for the Republicans. So is the state House. The state party is very divided. You've got the more neocon John McCain faction, and then you've got the, more America First, Paul Gosar, Andy Biggs, Donald Trump, Kelly Ward, those kinds of people on the other spectrum of the party. And so it's really split up the party. Do you put up a candidate that can get the MAGA base out, get a lot of the Trump supporters out, or do you put up someone that can appeal to the moderates as well? Now, in some states, you say, well, we can do both, but can they do that in Arizona? And no candidate that has announced or has been rumored to announce soon has really indicated to me that they will be able to do that. And so for right now, I'm going to put this race at lean Democrat. Now, that is all of the lean margin states. So Democrats are up to 48 seats. Republicans are at 48 seats as well, still tied. But now getting into the tilt margin states. First is the state of New Hampshire. Now, I talked about the state of New Hampshire a couple days ago. There was a recent poll that came out that showed Chris Sununu up by a couple percentage points, but he has like 72% approval. And sure, of course, state politics are different from national politics, but New Hampshire is a more conservative state. And Maggie Hassan isn't the greatest candidate. She barely won in 2016. Sure, Kellyanne won very easily in 2010 and then lost to Maggie Hassan. But, you've got a very popular governor, so it's going to be difficult to beat Chris Sununu. He's going to have a lot of support from the establishment Republicans. He's going to do better in areas that Democrats have improved in lately, as well as the areas that Democrats have lost ground in lately. So I think that, sure, it'll be a close race, but Chris Sununu, I think, is certainly favored at this point. Wisconsin's another state I'm going to put at lean Democrat. Wisconsin's a state that prior to this I had at lean Republican, so I should say that this is going to be tilt Republican. Prior to this race, I had, prior to Ron Johnson announcing he's probably retiring, I had this race at lean Republican. But I think that without the incumbency advantage and the fact that this is a very close state, it's going to be a close race for sure. And, for some reason, there's a history of this class of senators, flipping parties, losing re-election every now and, every senator since, I think, going back to the 17th Amendment, which is an interesting fact. But overall, Republicans do still have an advantage here based on the fundamentals. I think they'll do better in the suburbs than Trump did well in the driftless area because, that's naturally trending towards the Republicans. And, Democrats probably don't have the best candidate. Maybe they run the lieutenant governor, maybe they run the state treasurer, but, we'll have to wait until they announce to actually, be more sure on this. I'm also going to put Georgia at tilt Republican. The reason I'm doing this is because of the recent law that the Georgia State Senate passed. Now, we don't, it's not officially law yet. There's going to be lawsuits. Brian Kemp still has to sign it, but I'm going to assume that this is going to go through because this is very, very big. This is a very big change, and it is a ban on no-excuse absentee voting. And this is a process that many Democratic voters used in the 2020 general election, and it was only a very, very narrow win for Joe Biden, a pretty narrow win for Raphael Warnock. 2 points is narrow. So it's going to be difficult to win without that voter turnout operation to the max level like it was in 2020. And with a year where, you can get a Republican candidate that appeals more to the suburbs, that's going to make a big difference in the state of Georgia. So as of right now, I'm going to put this race at tilt Republican. Certainly could go either way, but right now I'm putting it at tilt Republican. You can see Republicans are already at 51 seats, but to kind of compensate for Democrats, if you're a Democrat watching this video, I am going to give Pennsylvania to the Democratic Party in a tilt Democratic column. I think John Fetterman can win this race, certainly. he is certainly a factor, but also the Republicans having not that great of a bench, not that great of a candidate, is certainly a factor as well, because, you go back to the 2016 election with Pat Toomey. Pat Toomey barely beat Katie McGinty. He did very well in the suburbs, areas that had trended away from the Republican Party, but he did worse in the rural areas. Can the Republicans break through the problem that they're going to have in Arizona as well? Do you get a candidate that can appeal more to the suburbs or more to the rural areas? Because John Fetterman certainly won't match Biden's numbers in the suburban areas, but he will do better in the rural areas. And so we'll see whether it's enough for John Fetterman to win. I think as of right now, he's slightly favored, but, this is going to be a very close race regardless, like many races are going to be. I think, you could see 4 or 5 races within 1 percentage point, which would be truly astonishing. But overall, my current prediction has the Republicans at 51 seats, Democrats at 49 seats. Republicans would retake the Senate in this map, vastly changing the way things would operate. But this is, of course, subject to change. We will see how things play out. But yeah, thank you all for watching this video. Please like this video and subscribe to the channel. Also, follow me on Twitter and join the Discord. Those are both linked down in the description. But again, guys, thank you all for watching this video, and I will see you guys later.